They say every journey begins with a single step, and for this man, that first step was onto the wrong side of the law. His story didn't start with grand ambitions or a master plan. It began on a forgotten street corner with a swift, almost clumsy snatch of a wallet from an unsuspecting passerby. It was a petty crime, born more from desperation than malice, a fleeting moment of opportunism that barely registered on the city's crime statistics. In the stark, simple world of his youth, survival was the only game, and he learned its rules quickly. This small act of theft was his initiation, a quiet prelude to a life that would soon spiral into something far more complex and dangerous. The thrill of getting away with it, the small reward it yielded, planted a seed. It was a tiny, insignificant beginning, but it was the start of a descent. The taste of easy money, however small, was addictive. The petty thief soon realized that bigger rewards required bigger risks and, more importantly, a team. He shed his street-worn clothes for a sharp suit, a uniform for a new kind of profession. The lone operator was now part of a crew, a cog in a well-oiled machine of organized heists. His stage expanded from street corners to the marble floors of downtown banks. The simple snatch and grab evolved into meticulously planned operations involving getaway drivers, vault specialists, and lookouts. He learned the language of blueprints, the rhythm of security patrols, and the cold calculus of risk versus reward. Each successful heist was a step up the ladder, earning him respect and a larger share of the spoils. He was no longer just a thief. He was becoming a professional, a man who saw the city not as a home, but as a series of opportunities waiting to be taken. But the higher you climb, the harder you fall. Inevitably, a calculated risk turned into a fatal miscalculation. A silent alarm, a delayed getaway, a single moment of bad luck was all it took. The thrill of the chase ended abruptly with the cold, hard click of handcuffs and the blare of sirens. The sharp suit was replaced by a drab prison uniform, the expansive city skyline by the four confining walls of a minimalist cell. Prison life was a stark, brutal reality. The anonymity of the city was gone, replaced by the constant scrutiny of guards and the rigid hierarchy of fellow inmates. The days bled into one another, a monotonous cycle of roll calls, yard time, and solitude. In this stripped-down existence, he was no longer a professional criminal, just a number. It was here, in the quiet desperation of his cell, that he had two choices: surrender to despair or begin to plot. For a mind like his, confinement was not an end but an incubator. The prison, intended to be a cage, became his university of crime. He listened, he learned, and he observed the intricate power dynamics of this closed society. He saw the weaknesses in the system not as obstacles, but as opportunities. The time for following orders was over. It was time to give them. He began to forge alliances, trading favors and information, slowly building a network of loyal followers. The master plan was audacious, a full-scale prison escape. It was executed with the same meticulous planning as his bank heists, but on a grander, more dangerous scale. The breakout was a success, a chaotic and violent declaration of his return. But he didn't just run. He emerged from the prison gates as a leader, with the foundations of a new criminal empire already laid. He was no longer just a member of a crew. He was the architect of his own organization. Free from the physical and mental confines of prison, his ambition knew no bounds. He established a lavish, high-tech hideout, a fortress hidden from the world's view, which became the nerve center of his operations. The days of hands-on heists were long gone. He now commanded a global network from a state-of-the-art control room, his influence stretching across continents. His empire diversified from simple theft to sophisticated international smuggling, cybercrime, and market manipulation. He was a ghost in the machine, his name whispered in the darkest corners of the underworld but never spoken aloud. He moved money, people, and power with the click of a button, orchestrating chaos from the comfort of his leather chair. He had reached the peak, transforming from a street-level thief into a true criminal mastermind, a puppeteer pulling the strings of a worldwide web of illicit activity. Ultimately, an empire built on shadows cannot escape the light forever. His very success became his undoing. The sheer scale of his operations drew the attention of every major law enforcement agency on the planet. His face, once anonymous, was now plastered on most wanted posters from Tokyo to London, from New York to Dubai. The man who controlled a global network found his own world shrinking, the walls closing in once more. The final shot is not of a king on his throne, but of a man in self-imposed exile, perpetually looking over his shoulder. He is alone, isolated by the very power he fought so hard to build. The journey that began with a stolen wallet on a lonely street ends on an even lonelier precipice, a testament to the fact that at the top of the criminal world, you may have everything, but you are also truly and utterly alone.